My sister gave me exactly 30 minutes to send her $7,200. Not because someone was sick. Not because someone was in danger. She wanted to throw her daughter the most expensive Sweet 16 our town had ever seen. When I refused, my parents called me selfish. My relatives started blowing up my phone. By sunset, everyone in my family thought I had destroyed my niece's birthday. The truth? I hadn't canceled a single thing. I simply made one phone call after discovering something my sister hoped I'd never see. And within hours, her entire perfect party collapsed without me spending a single dollar. I've always believed that helping family should come from love, not obligation. Maybe that belief is why it took me so many years to realize I wasn't being appreciated. I was being used. My younger sister, Melissa, had a remarkable talent for spending money she didn't have. New furniture appeared every few months. Luxury handbags somehow fit into a budget that couldn't cover rent. Weekend trips magically happened even though she constantly complained about overdue bills. Whenever reality caught up with her, my phone rang. Just until next paycheck. I'll pay you back. I have no one else. At first, I believed every word. $500 for car repairs. $800 for medical bills. $1,200 when the air conditioner broke in July. $3,000 to stop foreclosure notices. The repayments never came, but the requests never stopped either. Our parents always defended her. She's under a lot of stress. You're doing well financially. Family helps family. Those words became the soundtrack of every holiday dinner. I never argued. I simply wrote another check. Meanwhile, I built my own business from the ground up. After years of working weekends and sleeping in my office, I finally owned a successful event planning company. Weddings, corporate galas, charity fundraisers. We organized celebrations people remembered for years. Ironically, I spent my career creating unforgettable moments for strangers while quietly funding disasters inside my own family. Then my niece Emma turned 16. Emma was different from her mother.
Sweet, polite,
Hardworking. She always thanked me for birthday gifts and never asked for anything expensive, which made the next few weeks even stranger. Melissa suddenly flooded the family group chat with glamorous photos. This is the ballroom. Then came another message. This is Emma's dream dress. A third. Look at this custom cake. Every day brought another screenshot. Crystal chandeliers. Flower arches. Luxury limousine. Professional photographer. Live band. Designer invitations. The celebration looked less like a Sweet 16 and more like a celebrity wedding. I assumed she'd found sponsors or saved for years. I was wrong. On a Tuesday afternoon, while reviewing contracts in my office, my phone buzzed. Melissa. I opened the message. There wasn't even a greeting. Wire me $7,200 today. Below it came a list. Venue deposit. Dress balance.
cake,
Entertainment. Decorations. Photography. At the bottom she added, Emma deserves this. You make plenty of money. No, please. No explanation. Just an expectation. I stared at the screen for nearly a minute before typing 3 words. Get a job. I hit send. For the first time in years, I didn't feel guilty. 10 minutes later, my phone rang.
Dad.
The moment I answered, he didn't even say hello. What is wrong with you? What are you talking about? Your sister told me everything. I figured she would. You really refuse to help? I refuse to pay for a party she can't afford. His voice hardened. You have the money. That doesn't make it my responsibility. Silence. Then came the sentence I'd remember for the rest of my life. If you won't help your own sister, then don't call yourself part of this family. The line went quiet. I could almost hear him waiting for me to apologize. Instead, I calmly said, I'm sorry you feel that way. Then I hung up. Within minutes, my phone exploded. Voicemails. Texts. Cousins asking why I was punishing Emma. An aunt telling me I was selfish. Melissa posting vague messages online about betrayal and jealousy. Everyone seemed convinced I'd ruined a little girl's birthday. Not one person asked why Melissa expected someone else to pay for it. I leaned back in my chair and looked at the stack of event contracts on my desk. Then something caught my eye. One company name. One reservation number. Then another. And another. A slow smile crossed my face as everything finally made sense. Melissa hadn't just assumed I'd pay for the party. She'd built the entire celebration around something she hoped I'd never notice. Every reservation, every vendor, every deposit was connected to one name. Mine. I picked up the first contract and read it again.
Then I opened the next.
By the time I reached the fifth vendor, I wasn't angry anymore. I was amazed. Melissa hadn't simply copied my recommendations. She had used my company's preferred vendor network to book nearly every part of Emma's party. Because my event planning business organized hundreds of events every year, venues trusted my company. Vendors offered discounted pricing, flexible payment schedules, and priority booking because they knew we always honored our contracts. Melissa had taken full advantage of that reputation. Without ever asking me, every reservation listed my business as the referring planner. Every deposit carried my company's account number. And buried in the paperwork was one sentence that changed everything. The referring planner would be financially responsible if the client failed to pay. I read it twice just to be certain. If Melissa walked away from those bills, the vendors wouldn't chase her first. They'd come after me. $7,200 wasn't the real risk. The final invoices would exceed $20,000. I sat quietly for a moment. This wasn't revenge anymore. This was protecting my business. I picked up my phone and called the ballroom. Good afternoon, Grand Willow Events. Hi, this is Daniel Carter from Carter Signature Events. The manager immediately recognized my voice. Daniel, good to hear from you. I need to review reservation number 4187. A few keyboard clicks echoed through the receiver. I have it. I'd like to remove my company as the guarantor. There was a brief pause. Wasn't this booked for your client?
No.
It was booked without my authorization. Another pause. I understand. What happens now? If another guarantor isn't provided today, company policy requires us to cancel the reservation. I didn't hesitate. Please proceed. Done. The confirmation email arrived before we even ended the call. One cancellation. I looked at the remaining contracts. Then I dialed the photographer. Unfortunately, we'll have to release the date. The florist. Please remove my company's guarantee. The limousine company. Cancel the booking. The bakery. The financial authorization has been withdrawn. The decorator. The account is no longer valid. Every conversation lasted less than 5 minutes. No raised voices. No threats. No arguments. Just business. Each vendor thanked me for notifying them before the payment deadlines. By late afternoon, every reservation connected to my company had disappeared. I closed my laptop. For the first time all week, I felt calm. That piece lasted exactly 18 minutes. Melissa called. I answered. What did you do? Her voice was so loud I had to pull the phone away from my ear. What are you talking about? Don't play dumb. The ballroom canceled. The photographer canceled. The florist just called. Our cake order disappeared. The limo company refunded the deposit. I waited until she finished shouting. Then I said quietly, yes. You ruined Emma's birthday.
No.
I removed my financial responsibility. You had no right. I had every right. My company was legally attached to contracts I never approved. They were just formalities.
No.
They were legal agreements. She sputtered for a moment. You have plenty of money. This isn't about money. It's about consent. She hung up. 5 minutes later, Mom called. You've embarrassed your sister. I protected my business. Families shouldn't treat each other this way. I agree. Another silence. Then Dad joined the call. You've always thought you were better than everyone. I almost laughed. For years I've paid your daughter's rent. Neither of them answered. I paid her medical bills. Silence. I covered her mortgage. Nothing. I helped buy her car. Still nothing. And now she signed my company onto contracts without asking. Dad finally spoke. She was counting on you. I know. That's the problem. The call ended without another word. By evening, relatives I'd barely spoken to in years suddenly had opinions. Some accused me of being greedy. Others insisted I should keep the peace. Not one of them offered to pay the canceled bills themselves. That told me everything I needed to know. Around 9 that night, my cousin Rachel texted privately. I didn't know Melissa used your company without permission. That's not okay. She wasn't the only one. As the truth spread, the family group chat grew quieter. People started asking Melissa uncomfortable questions.
Who signed the contracts?
Who promised payment? Why would she plan a luxury party before securing the money? The answers never came. Instead, she kept insisting I had destroyed Emma's dream. But deep down, I knew something she didn't. Emma had never once called me asking for an expensive ballroom. She had never demanded a designer dress. She had never asked for a limousine. This wasn't Emma's dream. It was Melissa's performance. The next morning, just after breakfast, my doorbell rang. When I opened it, Emma was standing there by herself, holding a small envelope in both hands. Her eyes were red from crying, and before I could say a single word, she whispered, "Uncle Daniel, can we please talk?" Emma stood on my porch clutching a small white envelope, her eyes swollen from crying. "Can we talk?" she asked softly. I stepped aside without saying a word. She walked into my living room, sat on the edge of the couch, and stared at the floor. For nearly a minute, neither of us spoke. Finally, she looked up. "I'm sorry." I frowned. "You don't owe me an apology." "Yes, I do." She handed me the envelope. Inside was a handwritten note. "Uncle Daniel, I never wanted you to think I expected you to pay for my birthday. I didn't even know Mom asked you for money until last night." I looked back at her. She continued before I could respond. "I didn't want the ballroom." "You didn't." She shook her head. "I wanted dinner with my friends, music, and everyone getting along." She gave a small, embarrassed smile. The giant cake wasn't even my favorite flavor. I couldn't help smiling. For weeks, Mom kept saying this party had to impress people. Every time I suggested something smaller, she said I didn't understand how important appearances were. Everything suddenly made sense. This had never been about celebrating Emma. It had been about Melissa proving something to everyone else. I reached across the table. "How would you feel about planning a birthday that's actually yours?" Emma's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" "No ballrooms. No limousines. No pretending. Just the people you love." For the first time that morning, she smiled. A real smile. 1 week later, we celebrated at her favorite local restaurant with close family, a handful of friends, and chocolate cupcakes instead of a towering designer cake. There were no photographers directing poses. No luxury decorations. No speeches about appearances. Just laughter. Before dessert, I handed Emma a small gift. She opened the envelope and covered her mouth. Inside was the first contribution to a college savings account in her name. "It's not for one night," I told her. "It's for your future." Tears filled her eyes as she hugged me. Across the room, my parents watched quietly. After the dinner ended, Dad walked over. "I judged you too quickly," he admitted. "I thought money was the issue." "It never was," I replied. "It was respect." He nodded slowly. Melissa never apologized. She insisted everyone had overreacted and blamed the cancel party on me until the very end. But something had changed. The family stopped expecting me to solve every financial problem. For the first time in years, my generosity became a choice instead of an obligation. And that was worth far more than $7,200. Because sometimes the strongest way to protect the people you love isn't by writing another check. It's by teaching them that real family is built on honesty, gratitude, and respect, not entitlement.